Hello and welcome to this week's video. This week we look at words and phrases used when we travel to the coast and see what the coastline has to offer. We look at what we find there. Will there be hills, beaches and towns? Don't forget to stay until the end to test your knowledge by taking our quiz. Anyway, let's start with the first word. Our first phrase this week is Antrim Coast. Now let's take a look in a little more detail about what this means. But first, let's take a look at how we pronounce it. Antrim Coast. And again, Antrim Coast. Excellent. So now let's take a look at how we would define the Antrim Coast. This is an area by the sea in the northern area of Northern Ireland. Great. So now let's take a look at how we would use Antrim Coast in an example. Alan decided to take a short holiday to the Antrim Coast as he heard it was a great area for natural beauty. From the Antrim Coast, you can see the coast of Western Scotland. Our second word in this lesson is unrivaled. So let's learn a little more about this by checking out the pronunciation. Unrivaled. And again, unrivaled. Excellent. So now we've had a look at the pronunciation, let's move on to the definition of unrivaled. Antrim Coast in Northern Ireland is unrivaled for its natural beauty of its beaches and hills. There are no other coasts in Northern Ireland that are as beautiful as the Antrim Coast. Antrim Coast in Northern Ireland is unrivaled for its natural beauty of its beaches and hills. There are no other coasts in Northern Ireland that are as beautiful as the Antrim Coast. The next phrase we will look at this week is feat of engineering. So let's take a look at the pronunciation of feat of engineering and then move on to the definition and example. Feat of engineering. And again, feat of engineering. Excellent. So now let's learn a little more about the definition of feat of engineering. This is a great creation of a road, bridge, tunnel, or anything similar that has been made by people. That's interesting. So now let's take a look at an example to find out how we'd use this in everyday language. Jane admired the great feat of engineering of the road over the steep hills. She imagined how difficult it would have been to build it over 100 years ago. Our penultimate word in this week's lesson is Ulster. So let's take a look at the pronunciation more closely, and then on to the definition and example. Ulster. And again, Ulster. Excellent. So now let's have a look at the definition to learn exactly what this word is. One of 3 provinces in Ireland. It is made up of 9 counties. 6 are in Northern Ireland and 3 are in the Republic of Ireland. That's interesting. So let's learn how we would use the word Ulster when we are speaking in everyday context. Andy went on a week-long trip to Ulster to discover the beautiful coastlines and beaches. He found them quiet and peaceful. The final word this week is remote. So let's take a look at how we would define this, and after that, take a look at the definition and example. Remote. And again, remote. Excellent. So let's move on to the definition now to learn a little more about what this word means. This is when somewhere is far away from other places, meaning the area is quiet and peaceful. Fantastic. So let's take a look at an example of when we would use remote in everyday conversation. Claire had always visited the Antrim Coast on her holidays, as she loved how remote it was. After a busy year, she wanted to go somewhere quiet and peaceful. Now it is time to test your knowledge with our weekly quiz to see how much of today's lesson you can remember. We will ask you 3 questions on the vocabulary we have learnt in this video. Question 1. What is something known as when it is better than anything else? Would it be A, unbeknown, B, unrivaled, or C, undefined? And the correct answer is B, unrivaled. Question number 2. Which of these could be a feat of engineering? Would it be A, a hill, B, a beach, or C, a road? The correct answer is C, road. Question number 3. What is meant by remote? Would it be A, a place with few buildings and far from towns and cities? B, an area with lots of buildings by the sea? Or C, an area with a coastline close to hills? And the correct answer is A, a place with few buildings and which is far from towns and cities. Let us know in the comments box how you did in this week's Coast quiz. And congratulations if you did get all 3 questions correct. Thank you for joining us again this week. If you have any questions about this video or would like us to explain a word for you from any context, then please post your question in the comments box below. We are always happy to help. Don't forget to like our video to help us gain more viewers and to improve our channel in order to provide you with the best experience. Why not press the subscribe button and bell notification icon so you never miss one of our future videos. Next week, we will be looking at words and phrases related to antiques. Thank you for joining us again today, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye!